The Clear Signal with Steve Visscher is produced in the first instance as a radio show, and it's aired on stations around Australia. Due to music licensing restrictions, copyright-protected music tracks in this podcast edition have either been replaced with royalty-free alternatives or removed entirely.
The Clear Signal with Steve Visscher.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome back to another week with us here on The Clear Signal. As always, it's great to have you with us. Now, of course, if you're new to the show or if you just want some more detail on what we do here, you can find everything you need to know at our website, which is clearsignal.com.au, including our contact information. There's a contact form there if you want to get in touch with me. And it's always great to hear from you wherever you're listening, be it here in Australia or really, thanks to the joys of internet radio, really anywhere around the world. Now, we've got another great hour ahead this week. First up, we're going to be taking a look at healthy eating, good nutrition, and, everything else in between with Kathleen Everingham. Now, Kathleen's a naturopath and a nutritionist. And if you're listening via community radio here in Australia, well, you may have even heard her healthy and fresh radio segments here and there. I'm sure she'll have a bit to say about my less than stellar eating habits at times, I'm sure, so we'll have a bit of fun with that. And Kathleen will join us in just a moment or two. Now, ahead in the second half hour, we're going to be taking a look at a real success story in the field of disability support. You know, that's a really vital and oftentimes a really joyful community service, and I'm really looking forward to finding out more about that with our guest, Cindy Warren. Now, Cindy does some amazing work in her local community, and I'm really looking forward to presenting her story and some of her success stories. I'm really that'll be a really great thing to catch up with her about, so that'll be in the second half of the show. But first up, let's jump right into the world of healthy eating. I say that as I put down my umpteenth coffee cup of the day. I better put that aside. Kathleen Everingham joins us on the line from Newcastle in New South Wales. Kathleen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. It's so lovely to be here.
It's great to have you with us. Now, I guess we're always, most of us, and particularly as we start getting a bit older, we're all on our own sort of voyage or a journey, if you like, of trying to live a bit better and a little bit smarter. Sometimes we just need some people to help us along the way with that. And I suppose a lot of people would turn to the more natural medicine approach, a bit of a natural nutrition approach. And I guess in your line of work, that's pretty much what you do.
Yes, it is. And what I, as a naturopath and nutritionist, try and do is always understand where that person is coming from. So they may have, a lot of medications they're on from their doctor, and they could be very much life-saving medications, and we always try and work along with that. So it's always about starting with the basics. Naturopaths always start with the basics, and that basic is their diet. So if you can start with a person's diet and improve upon that, that can mean things like their digestion improves. And our digestion is the basis. You'll always hear a naturopath talk about the gut, and you think, oh God, why do naturopaths always talk about the gut? Because the gut is not just where we put food, it's where we grab all the nutrients from, and it's where our immune system is starting to work really hard. So look, we are always there front and center to work with the basics, and then we start to layer on, things like supplements if they need it. Sometimes they don't. They just need guidance around what they're eating, but we try and keep it as simple as possible.
I hear the term around a lot. You see it in a lot of the videos that come up on YouTube when you start talking about this stuff, for example, and I hear the term leaky gut a lot. Is that what exactly does that mean?
Yes. Leaky gut is where the actual membrane of the stomach itself and also the digestive tract kind of starts to look a little bit like a colander. So when we drain something in our colander, we let the water through so we can, get the lettuce that's, hasn't got all the water on it, or drain the pasta or that sort of thing. So although sort of digestive tract in our stomach is meant to absorb nutrients through the endothelial lining, as we call it, it's not meant to allow toxins and bits of food to pass through. So this term leaky gut is unfortunately something that we can all go through as we sort of get older. We can sort of start to get little, for want of a better word, little gaps or holes where toxins, bacteria can pass through. And that's where your immune system starts to panic and go, oh, that's not meant to be there in the body cavity. I'm going to launch a full assault on this. And you start to get things like inflammation. You're not absorbing your nutrients very well because that part of the lining is not absorbing. It's allowing things to pass through. So from a very basic understanding of the lining, starting to break down, you're then starting to have this cascade of events occurring. And a lot of the time people may start to think, why am I so tired? Why do I feel a pain in my stomach or my sort of abdomen area? And they may not really put two and two together and think, well, maybe I have leaky gut. So it is a term that's thrown around a lot. We can sort of look at supporting its repair, but I guess the first thing is to actually acknowledge that you could have leaky gut. So that's the first step.
And is it as common as a lot of people would have you believe? Is it? I mean, you talk about toxins, and we live in in a world these days where there's a lot of toxins in foods, sprayed on foods, stuff that we breathe in. I mean, I suppose it would be probably more common than maybe we realise.
Look, I often say to people, there's just simply no way you can avoid taking in toxins and bacteria and so forth on our food, in our water. We breathe it in. You can't really stop it. Even if you were to grow your own food in your lovely soil, filter your water, that sort of thing, it's just so ubiquitous. It is everywhere. So, some of the things that can actually sort of exacerbate a leaky gut can be simple things like prescribed medications, alcohol, really poor diet, these sorts of things, which over time, look, we've all had to take medications over our lives. We've all drunk alcohol. We've all eaten bad foods. It's not so much of this group of people are perfect and this people are, they're naughty people. We've all been there. We all have repair work to do. That is the message. We all, naturopaths, doctors, we all have repair work to do. We are all on our own health journey. So, the good diet is always paramount. It's always the place to start.
The role of the liver, I think, is a big thing. That's something I found out this year, and I've talked a lot on this program in recent weeks. People would know if they've read my website. I've been on a bit of a health journey myself. I suffered a heart attack last year and went through open heart surgery. And obviously there's a lot of medication that I've been on that I would never have thought I'd been on. One of those, of course, is statins, which I'm led to believe in some ways a bit of a compromise in terms of toxins. Yes, they do good things for your cholesterol, but they're not exactly healthy. So those sorts of drugs and other medications, everyone's on all sorts of medications these days. One of the things I found coming out of surgery was that my liver became quite inflamed, and we had to look at how we would address that.
Your liver is a really, really hard-working organ. It's the first real organ that our immune system, everything comes into contact with, and it's just so important to everything we do. So there are obviously sort of nutrients and herbs that people can include in their sort of daily diet. I mean, a supplement might be easier for someone like yourself, Steve, who've had that quite intensive journey where your liver's undergone a lot of work, and the medications you're on, they've saved your life. So
no doubt.
We certainly need you to keep taking those. But look, we can look after the organs of our body. We can gently help them to do the job they're going to do. And that's what really a naturopath is trying to do. We're not trying to really impose things onto the body that's going to really try and really change what the body's supposed to be doing. We're trying to support, say, what the liver's doing. So herbs like St. Mary's thistle and globe artichoke, they're fantastic herbs for someone like yourself, or really anyone who's thinking, maybe my liver is a bit sluggish and I need a little bit of support. So St. Mary's thistle and globe artichoke are two amazing herbs that can help repair and clean your liver out so that it has a much better time of doing the essential job it's doing. And they're such gentle herbs. They've been around for hundreds, thousands of years. They've been used traditionally. And of course, we study them intensively, in our modern sort of Western medicine. But, sometimes the traditional methods are amazing to me, having been used by so many different sort of medicine systems across the world. So I always go back to the St. Mary's thistle and the globe artichoke for people to start with. Sometimes I think, if I can just say, sometimes I think people want to do intensive liver detoxes. Because they think I need to do something.
I certainly looked at that. Yeah.
They need to do something so sort of gung ho, but I really always recommend they come back to doing nice, gentle repair work, nice, gentle support work, especially of their liver, because you don't. It's a bit like trying to repair your car. You don't take a spanner and just bash the hell out of your car.
Oh, I don't know, Kathleen. I've done that a few times, yeah.
Well, maybe on really bad days.
Yeah. Same for my lawnmower.
Oh, we've all done that, don't worry. But look, the gentle approach I find is always the best. So, and that's the approach I always recommend to people.
The clear signal.
You're listening to The Clear Signal, and we're talking all things natural remedies and good nutrition this week with Kathleen Everingham. Kathleen, I drink a lot of water in my day. Can you drink too much water, or is it you just can't drink enough of it?
You can do too much of anything. You can drink too much water. And the reason we say that is because when you are drinking water, obviously you want to have an optimum amount. You want to have it's the Goldilocks formula. You want to have just the right amount, not too much, not too little. But, having too much can drain essential sort of minerals out of your body. And it's a little bit like, when we go through those awful periods of our life when we might have a bout of diarrhea, we lose essential minerals like potassium, magnesium and sodium. And that's why we sort of go to the pharmacy and we might pick up a well-known mineral formula that helps put those minerals back. So if we do drink too much water, yes, you can lose those minerals out of your system. So and look, the 8 glasses of water a day, sort of method, there's actually really no science behind that. That's probably another podcast to discuss that. But look, I would really encourage people to drink around about 1.5 litres a day if you can. I think that's reasonable and that's doable for most people, just sipping away through the day.
Well, that's probably interesting, Kathleen. And, of course, I would point out that there's plenty of water in the way too high levels of coffee that I consume, but we may not touch on that one. Hey, I know you've spoken a few times about supplements. Now, I'm one of those people that takes a multivitamin tablet every morning, and I hear all sorts of discussion on whether or not that's a good thing. I sort of take the viewpoint that, well, it can't hurt. It can't hurt, can it, to take a men's multivitamin every day?
No, not at all. The good thing about vitamins is that you can get a little bit of everything. And sometimes it can be, especially things like choline and inositol, which are really essential, minerals or nutrients, I should say, for brain function. It's really, really hard to get those, but you'll tend to find them in most multivitamins. If I often say to people, look, multivitamins are really good if you're healthy, everything's going okay, and you just want to get a little bit of everything. If you know you have a deficiency, it's really important to address that deficiency. Don't believe that a multivitamin will address that. So if you were to say have a deficiency in calcium or iron or magnesium, you really should be taking an individual supplement in that area that's giving you a therapeutic dose. But other than that, a multivitamin is fine.
And what about turmeric? Now, that's something that I think has sort of come onto the scene a lot more recently. A lot of people seem to talk about that. It's good for arthritis. Is it really the wonder drug or the wonder supplement that everybody says it is? It seems to be very popular at the moment.
Yeah, you have a lot of people who swear by it. They can't go without it every day. And then you have those people who say it did nothing for me. I'm not buying it again, that sort of thing. Look, I would really encourage people, whatever brand of turmeric or curcumin they're taking, to have a look at the bottle of turmeric or curcumin that they're taking and see what curcuminoid amount is in it. So really, when we're taking turmeric or curcumin, what we're trying to get out of it is that particular constituent in the turmeric herb that deals with pain. So if we're taking it because that's what most people are taking turmeric for, is for that pain component. And the very constituent in that is the curcuminoid. So different brands will actually list different amounts of curcuminoids in their brands. So if you're really, because it's really misleading, I find it's difficult for a lot of people to try and work out comparing one turmeric to this curcumin, and it's really overwhelming and confusing. So if you really want to have a little sort of, handy trick in your pocket when you go to the pharmacy or the health food store, turn the label around, have a look at the actual nutritional breakdown or the breakdown of its ingredients and compare the curcuminoids. Don't worry about how much turmeric is in it or how much curcumin is in it. Look at the curcuminoids, because that's really the part that's giving you the pain relief.
Kathleen, we live in a world these days where we can get a lot of things that we want instantaneously. And I suppose one of the things that we can do if we're on the go, and a lot of people fall into that trap, and I am as guilty of this as anybody else, is fast food. It's very easy these days to not eat healthy. You would come across a lot of people, I suppose, that would talk about this sort of topic in your line of work. How do we train ourselves? I mean, I know it's a matter of discipline, but we can eat healthy, and I think it's a matter of making a decision. Do you help a lot of people on that sort of journey?
I do. And look, I'm very understanding of the problems of the busy lifestyle. Whether you have kids or not at home, you've got to prepare yourself a meal or your family a meal, and you're so time poor, and perhaps there's issues in your family. Maybe some has a gluten intolerance, the other person, maybe they're watching their sugar intake, and it's really overwhelming and, a lot to think about just to put together dinner. I talk to so many people who just want to go home and have a boiled egg on toast. And I'm like, I can certainly relate to that some days. It does get really busy. What I try and do for people is I try and firstly, I empathise with them and say, look, we've all been there. It is tiring and overwhelming to sometimes figure this out. What I really tell to people, and this is for people also who are perhaps trying to lose weight, they're trying to eat a lot better, is just start with one meal of the day. Don't try and reorganize your entire diet every single day. So just look at breakfast or lunch or dinner. Just take one and then have a look at what you're doing. What are you eating? What can we swap out that is a better choice for you to make at that particular meal? Now, once you've made that choice, or once you've got a few little choices that you can choose, then run that through for a couple of weeks. Just get into the rhythm of making that difference, because you are making a change. We're all creatures of habit. We like to get up and maybe have our toast or our porridge or whatever it is we have for breakfast. But what if we want to switch that out? So just try and make it a routine. Once you have it a routine, then look to dinner or lunch. Okay, what are we going to do for dinner or lunch? What if we have to go to the office every day? What if we're on a work site? How can I take a salad? How can I take a nice salad with maybe, some lovely protein with it? Oh, what if I don't have a fridge at work? Just sort of don't overwhelm yourself with trying to change every meal at once. Just break it down, work with one meal and make that your routine, and then move on to the next. And you'll find that once you make things a routine, it's much easier to make that permanent change in your life and see the difference.
I have a good friend who I know in a work context. He and I met probably 6-7 years ago. And when we met, we were both tall guys, pretty solid guys. And sadly, I still am. But this particular individual got into intermittent fasting 1 or 2 years ago. And I got to tell you, he has practically halved in size. Some people I know, such as this person, and it's really worked for him, but some people call it a fad. I don't know that I'd call it a fad, but I see a lot of people getting into it. What's your take on intermittent fasting?
Yeah, look, intermittent fasting, I mean, that's the term we have for it, but for thousands of years, some, religions practice fasting as part of their day or maybe a particular month. So it does have sort of a history to it. I think for some people it is useful. It certainly does give your digestion a break from having to process food all the time. So every organ of our body needs to have a break at some stage in order to do repair work. A little bit like you knock off a shift for work, you go home, you have a rest. That's what our organs also need to do sometimes. But there is a bit of a trick to it if this helps you, Steve. So what you can actually start to do is one of two things. You can either use your sleeping time is actually a form of fasting. So you're not eating while you're lying in bed. So that you're actually fasting whilst you're sleeping. So what you can do, one popular way of fasting is to not eat after 6 o'clock at night and then not eat before 6 o'clock in the morning. And that actually gives you 12 hours of fasting there and then. But maybe you're sleeping 8 hours of that. So it's not so hard. The other way to do it, if you don't want to do it that way, is to just start by doing a 3-hour fast. And then you build onto it by half-hour increments. But keep in mind, it doesn't suit everybody, just like every diet doesn't suit everybody. It can be helpful, but always keep up your water intake if you're doing it. I know a lot of people who are able to fast for days on end. They feel amazing. But look, it's certainly, I wouldn't sort of tout it as something that is for everybody.
It's not for everybody, yeah.
It's a little bit like not eating meat is for everybody. Everybody needs different nutrients and they need different things. So, but that's a little bit of a trick for you, Steve. If you want to try it that way, just use your 8 hours of sleep and then you can do a bit of a flex in front of your friend and go, well, guess what? I fasted for 8 hours. So
yeah. If anybody knows me, they that's impossible. You couldn't possibly do that. Sleep's an interesting one though, Kathleen, as I know time's running a little short here, but sleep is an interesting one, isn't it? It is linked to so many other facets of our health. I guess I'm told particularly heart health. And I found that out through a journey with sleep apnea. Once I started getting treatment for sleep apnea, I just felt amazing. So it obviously it really plays a bigger role. And I think in our stressful lives, perhaps a lot of us don't get enough of it.
You are absolutely right. Sleep is one of those really basic things that we all take for granted, but it has such a huge impact on our health if we're not getting it. And there are so many people I talk to who will literally pay anything to get a good night's sleep. And, sleep is even important for our immune system. If we're not getting the sleep, that means our body's not taking time to repair itself. Our organs are not having time to have a rest. All these things, if our brain is busy, we're overthinking things during the day. So there are solutions. I mean, I would encourage people to reach out and as you have done, just maybe make sure that there's not any underlying health issues as to why they're not. If they are waking up tired and they're thinking, well, I just had 8 hours sleep, why am I so tired? Please reach out and make sure that there's not any underlying health issues. It could be that you do have sleep apnea and you don't know. Maybe there's a nutrient deficiency and you're just not aware of it, and you could easily fix these things. But if you're a lot of the people I talk to are so stressed and worried about different things in their life. They might have gone through traumatic issues in their life and they're not able to sleep. Please reach out to, a naturopath. If you don't feel maybe that your doctor's listening to you very well, there's a lot of great doctors out there and they will listen. But if you don't leave it there. Talk to a naturopath, because there are herbs that you can take that do, help you relax the brain and the body. So, I mean, even magnesium, if you just want a really simple one, try taking magnesium maybe an hour and a half before you go to bed. It's amazing how we don't realize how much we're tensing during the day and just clenching and tightening up. And if you go to bed like that, how are you going to sleep? So magnesium is a really basic mineral that you can take. It'll help relax the muscles of your body. And hopefully from that, you can just start to, get into a better rhythm of falling asleep.
Kathleen, we can hear you on radio all around Australia on various community stations. Your website is healthyandfresh.com.au. Just before we go, I want to pick you up on one item, though, Brussels sprouts. You've got a thing on there about Brussels sprouts now. You're going to have to convince me, Kathleen, because I think they're the most vile substance in the universe. How are you going to turn that around?
I think that's probably one of the reasons I put a little sample on my website, because I knew it would trigger everyone. Yeah, I know. Look, I grew up, I love my mum, but she used to boil the Brussels sprouts. And look, there was no mercy. So, but look, I tried, because they've got such a great nutrient profile. I try and get people, look, you can roast them in the oven. You can put some herbs and spices on them, and these tiny little cute cabbages, you wouldn't know. So just try cooking them a different way. I promise you, I can turn you around, Steve.
Oh, you and my wife would get along famously. Kathleen, it's been so good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us on the show today. It's been great.
Thank you, Steve. It's been great. Thank you.
You're listening to The Clear Signal.
Great to have you with us for this second half hour of the show. I guess there's an expression, unsung heroes, and I sometimes wonder whether it might be a little bit cliched, but, there's no doubt that there's many people in really every community, anywhere you go, who just seem really driven by the desire to make a difference. And I guess that could mean many different things, of course, but my second guest this week is someone who's got an absolute passion for having a really positive impact on the lives of some of the most special people in her community. Her name is Cindy Warren, and she joins us on the line now. Cindy, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Hey, I reckon, the saying goes that if you work in a job you love, you'll actually never work a day in your life. And I reckon, just looking at some of your videos, that that must be your life summed up pretty well.
It is. It actually is. I mean, look, nothing's perfect, that's for sure. But most of my days are filled with the most fun activities and lots of laughs and lots of smiles. I would agree with what you've said. Absolutely.
Your company is called Umbrella Support, and you work in the disability sector. Can you tell us a bit about the business and what it is that you do? And we might talk a little bit in a moment about when you chose to start it.
Sure, absolutely. So I've worked in disability for 20 years. I was working predominantly in disability employment for school leavers, so that transition phase for when a person with a disability was leaving school. And that's what I knew best. That's what I've been doing for so many years. And I wanted to do something similar in my own business, so kind of modified here and there bits and pieces to make it kind of fit my style and my brand and my personality, which I think is really important. So we do lots of different things in the business to incorporate learning and skill building whilst having fun for people with a disability.
I think fun is the key word, isn't it? Because what I find when you're working with people with special needs and disabilities is you get them in an environment like this, a positive one. There's so much joy in the room, I find.
so much joy all the time. People that are living with a disability are some of the most positive people I have ever met in my entire lifestyle, given their challenges and some of the things that they need to deal with on a day-to-day basis, both physically and mentally. I've never met such positive and happy people. They're just, I think that's why I do tell people sometimes that I live in a little bit of a bubble, because I live in this bubble all day of just positivity and happiness and shiny, unicorns and rainbows and lollipops. And then I get in the car after work and I'm like, oh, here's the road rage again.
Yeah, particularly around here in this area where we all live at the moment. There's so much traffic. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. Tell us about the range of clients that you have. I mean, the disability, if we talk about people with a disability or special needs, I mean, that is an all-encompassing, very broad range of people.
It is. It is. It's a huge range of people. And what I love the most about the people, and I'll be honest when I say these words, when I allow them into our space, I'm very protective over who I allow into our space, because we have built such an inclusive and safe environment. And that's really important for people that are living with a disability. When I allow people into our space, I've got to make sure they're the right person that's going to fit with the caliber of existing clients that we have. And I call them a team. So our team. So the disabilities that our team have range from people that are vision impaired, hearing impaired, intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities. We've got a couple of our guys whizzing around in wheelchairs. So many different disabilities. But yeah, I don't know. I think you get to the point where you just don't see that anymore. They're just amazing people that are filling their days.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? Everybody, we're people. I remember a friend of mine talking about that when there were other issues coming up around gay marriage and all that sort of stuff at the time, and how people were described as put in certain boxes, I remember. And I remember a friend saying to me, we could just think of them, as just people. And I hang on to that. You can apply that to any situation.
I often tell my team and my clients that every single person is living with a challenge. No one's perfect. We've all got things that are going on, whether that be physical or mental or psychological or whatever that might be. I have a condition myself that I'm more than happy to share that's called Hashimoto's disease, which is actually classed as a disability.
Right.
So I'm happy to share that with everybody. It's basically the fact that I've just got no use of my thyroid. My metabolism doesn't work, so I need to take medication every day to basically start my engine. So there's all sorts of things that we call hidden disabilities as well. I don't see my condition as anything that has held me back from doing anything, but I like to let my participants know, my clients know that I live with a challenge myself, that I need a tablet every day to start my own engine. So they resonate with that, and that actually sits well with them too, to know that they see me as this bright, fun, happy, positive person that doesn't have any challenges, but we all do.
And that's certainly true. We all have our own sort of journey in life, I suppose, to go through. Talking about journeys, of course, you decided to start the journey of this business in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a pretty severe lockdown here in Victoria. A pretty gutsy decision.
I don't know what I was thinking, because I am not a dice roller. I'm not. So I don't know what on earth was going on. At the time, I was managing a 4 sites of a disability organisation, and I just had a gutful of it. I was done with senior management and just being tied to KPIs and losing the fact that I wasn't hands-on with people anymore. I hated that. I hated the fact that my boss would say to me, right, you need to get this amount of dollars through the door every month, and if I would say, well, we can't do that because of A, B, or C, it'd just be like, no, just go and make it happen anyway. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I deal with people, not products,
Yep.
And so I did. I decided right in the middle of COVID to leave and to start my own business. And I'm so glad I did. And like I said, I'm not a dice roller, so I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
I suppose you start in tough times like that, and I know other people. I've got a good friend of mine, in fact, who's been a guest on this show that decided to revamp his business right in that time too, and that's worked out in the end. I think it's made everybody a bit tougher.
Yeah, I would agree with that, actually. Well, it's certainly changed us and the way that we live, that's for sure. The way we do everything since then is, we talk about the whole world now, like before COVID or after COVID. So I just, yeah, I find it really cool to talk to other people that have done something, dramatic during that time as well, because then I feel better, like I'm not the only idiot in the world.
One of the things that I find with people particularly with intellectual challenges, is that they benefit from being in routines a lot. You see a lot of that talked about. My wife, for example, works with a lot of people in this sector as well, and that's a key learning I think that we found for all these years. So you talk about routine being important. I suppose in that time that would have been well, it was challenging for everybody, but particularly for people with those sorts of challenges, it would have been a set of issues that really would have been exacerbated.
Absolutely. Yeah, and when we talk about routine, a lot of my clients are autistic. So when we say lunchtime is at 12 o'clock, they're watching the seconds tick over until it says, 1200, and then it's my lunch needs to go in the microwave time. And so yeah, that was huge, because that routine of going to your regular program each day, or whatever you might have been doing, all of a sudden halted and stopped, and people did have to change, and they had no choice but to adapt. It was a pretty harsh way to do things, and I think that a lot of what happened damage-wise with people wasn't shown, and wasn't talked about on the news and things like that, because we just wanted it to look as shiny as possible. But so many people benefited. I've got stories that are just horrific from people during that time, that their life just was so bad because of the changes that were, just thrown at us.
Yeah. And I suppose with routine comes confidence, and with confidence would come independence. So that would have been a particular focus for you in your business, I guess, at that time. And that's something that you would have to work with every single day.
Absolutely. And throw on top of that as well an extra layer of fear, because people with a disability are not as savvy as to open a device and start to delve a little bit deeper and go, okay, what are we actually dealing with here, and why are we being told to stay inside, and why can't I, do my normal activity at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, or whatever that might be. But the fear was huge with our guys, especially even when, because we were classed as an essential service, so we were able to continue to run. So people were scared to be in contact with other people. And when that 1.5 meter distance, thing came into play, like it was like, let's get a measuring tape and make sure that we are standing exactly 1.5 meters away from each other, and all of those things. So yeah, it was a huge challenge and hurdle. And I'm so proud of all of my guys who just, navigated through the best they could, with support obviously from their families. And we just kind of did the best that we could do to make their life, and I hate to use this word normal, because there is no normal, but we tried to do the best we could to help them feel less fear.
The Clear Signal.
You're listening to The Clear Signal. We're talking the joys of working in the disability sector and helping some very special people this week with Cindy Warren from Umbrella Support. Cindy, let's talk about making media stars out of some of your clients, because I've actually been down and done some podcasting with some of your people, including Lachlan Hulley. I must mention Lachlan. Is he a bit of a superstar?
Oh my God, everyone knows that young man. I tell you, he is, look, just even his name just makes me smile. He's a handful, I'm not going to lie. He is absolutely incredible. So we have recently started a YouTube channel at Umbrella Support. It's called Hello Media. You can find us on YouTube. And the hello is spelled with a W on the end, just like yellow, which is our branding, nice and bright. Hello Media. I actually went and did some training with Shelley Horton from Channel 9 to learn how to actually present to camera and do some really cool stuff like that.
It's not as easy as people think, is it?
It's actually insane. Like there is so much to it. It's unreal, yeah. And now I'm really lucky that I'm getting to teach our guys how to do it. But we have a full setup. We have a huge, big media wall. We've got lights. We've got video cameras. We've got a lineup of guests that want to come and be guests on our Hello Media YouTube channel. But my guys do everything from start to finish. They write the intro. They set up the cameras. I don't even know. Oh my God, I don't even know how to set them up anymore. I don't know how to unpack the lights and everything. They do everything themselves. Everything from sitting the guests down to knowing which way to turn the cameras. We've got one of those traditional big clapper things where they'll say action and
Yep.
all of those wonderful things. But I've done something super cool that they're very excited about. And at the end of the year, I've actually hired out an entire cinema where we're going to sit in the cinema and watch them on the big screen with their family and friends at the end of the year. But we're interviewing people in the local community about their journeys and talking about everything from, we've had an IT guy in. We've got a lovely lady that does accessible clothing for people with a disability.
Yep.
We've got the local dry cleaner coming in. Just anyone and everyone that we can share our skills with and interview on camera is super cool. So we do that in addition to our radio show as well. And yes, Lachlan Hulley is a big part of all of it.
Well, let's take a bit of a listen to some of the quick grab of some audio from one of the videos.
Hello and welcome to the show. This group today is going to tell you what is on their bucket list, and you are in for a treat.
My treat is Disney.
Hello and welcome to the show. My bucket list dream is to have a beautiful and amazing girlfriend.
My bucket list dream is to become a voice actor.
Hello, welcome to the show. My bucket list dream is Japan and with my brothers.
Hello and welcome to the show. My bucket list dream is swimming with the great white sharks in South Africa or bungee jumping over in New Zealand.
Hello and welcome to the show. My bucket line green is Radio Boy.
My bucket list dream is getting a Ford Falcon AU 2001 model.
Hello and welcome to the show. My bucket list dream is moving to America and watching the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So there you go. And one of the things I noticed from watching those videos, Cindy, is everybody is smiling.
Yep, for sure. For sure. I tell you what, though, to get them to stand in front of that camera they look very confident standing there, but it's taken time and it's taken encouragement from everybody else as well. And that's what I love about this group as well, is that they will encourage other people. If someone's a little bit nervous, they'll say, come on, Beth, or come on, come on, Nick, you can do it. And everyone just, congratulates each other and supports one another.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of people, I talked to Gary Mack, a voiceover artist, just a couple of weeks ago about the concept of getting in and hearing your own voice when you get into a studio, and everybody's confronted by that because each individual person, we're the only people who think our voices sound the way our voices sound. To everybody else, they sound a bit differently. And for anybody, that can be quite intimidating. But getting into the studio, even though you're not in front of a camera, there's another skill set to learn.
It's one of the things I ask everyone that either stands in front of a camera for the first time or sits in the radio studio for the first time. I always ask the same question and to try and get an understanding of how they're feeling so I can know how to actually support them through. The first thing I say is, tell me what's going on. What is your tummy telling you at the moment? What do you feel in your tummy? And someone will answer something along the lines of, there's butterflies in my tummy, or my tummy is punching me, or something like this. That's actually, I got one of those last week. My tummy feels like it's punching me, Cindy. I'm like, okay, that's
I can identify, yeah.
Yeah.
The role of the National Disability Insurance Scheme in all of this, I think can be sometimes a misunderstood concept, the NDIS. It's a very big program, isn't it?
It is unbelievably huge, and so many different aspects and so many different areas. I have been around long enough for the initial rollout because I've been working in this industry for so many years. And I actually remember going into huge meetings for weeks and weeks or even months before saying, right, this is coming, it's coming, get ready, learning all the bits and pieces that we needed to know that would be relevant to our role and the services that we were running at the time. And I'll never forget knowing that Tassie, I think, was first, and then there was Geelong, and then we were next. And I remember the day, because I was managing 4 sites, and my staff were like, what's going to happen? What's going on? And I'm walking in going, everything's going to be fine. Everything is normal. We're doing everything the same. But look, from a service point of view, nothing really changed, but back of house admin, all of that type of thing, getting your head around new concepts, new acronyms, new understandings of the way things were working, that certainly took some time.
So generally speaking, how would the NDIS, how does that work with a business such as yours? I mean, I assume you work together and to get some of these really good outcomes for people?
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone living with a disability is obviously that's connected with the NDIS will get a package that is able to assist them with either learning or in-home supports or personal care, meals, whatever it might be, you know, everything from physio and, so many different things. So they're allocated a certain amount of funding to actually reach their goals. So it's all about goal setting, sitting down with someone higher than, me, that's for sure, to figure out, okay, who is this person first and foremost? What is their situation? What are their goals? What do they want to, learn or do? Or, how can we help them become independent? So, I mean, we do everything from, I'm really lucky to have on my staff a qualified cook, which is amazing because we do cooking classes as well. But my staff member, Jessie, is absolutely incredible. She will actually go to someone's home and help the young person cook a meal for the entire family for that night. So everything from budgeting in the shopping that they need to do, to knowing what aisle in the supermarket your sauces are or whatever it is. And that's all part of the NDIS package is teaching our participants their independent living skills or confidence building and things like that, which is definitely what our media program's doing. We also do literacy and numeracy with our blogging, so many different skills which they are able to learn and to put into their everyday lives.
Well, speaking of the culinary skills, I noticed that you have some arrangements with some local restaurants, an RSL in sort of the local area here, and also one of the restaurants as well. So I suppose that's all forming part of that.
So it's my pleasure to be partnered with the Rosebud RSL. And we have what we call our inclusive employment program down there. And we have 3 extremely wonderful participants who are working. One of the things that I am very firm on and that I will not budge on is that I will not work in partnership with anyone that does not pay full award wages. So there's many employers around Australia that will do something called a supported wage, which is a percentage based on capability. I'm not about that at all. I think that our guys are just the best in the business and they deserve to be paid. They work as hard as everybody else.
Yep.
They are probably some of the most loyal employees you'll ever get in your life, and they're just incredible. So they are at the Rosebud RSL every Wednesday from 11:30 till 2:30. So they are rolling on out meals every lunchtime on a Wednesday. But yeah, we also partner with a local community centre the second Tuesday of every month where we do help them with their morning melodies. So for people of the community to come in and listen to live music, we actually prepare all the scones, jam and cream, and we make them from scratch and we roll them on out on trolleys and serve everyone with their coffee and tea.
Oh.
So we do that as well.
Can I invite myself? I must invite myself to one of those.
You must come along to one of those, Steve. I think you would love it. It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
We talked a little bit before, Cindy, about getting into the studio, and you actually do that every week. You produce a radio show called Disability Matters. Tell us a bit about that.
I love Disability Matters. It's one of my favourite things to do. And this show came out of COVID as well. I was working with a young man who is vision impaired, that just had a love for radio, which was amazing. That has now gone gangbusters because it got so much interest that we now have to have our co-hosts weekly on a on a rotation. So but I love this because I do partner with a guy called Daz from Radio Voice, who is a super radio guy.
We had Daz on the show last week.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome, I will say. Look, I might be a bit biased in that section talking about him, but
Well, we can talk about that too if you like.
Daz is just incredible. So he produces our show each week and puts it to air, and he actually helps me with participants as well. He works full-time also in this industry, teaching radio and podcasting for people with disabilities. So it's just a perfect fit, and our radio show is super cool. And I think the best part for me about the radio show is just the joy from the family and friends that are actually listening, going, "Oh, my friend's on the radio," you know?
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. And it's good. And it's actually an opportunity. We talked a bit to Daz about the opportunities with new forms of broadcasting. And I think through a streaming radio station, it really gives an opportunity to be able to present programs such as this. So it's a really good thing.
Absolutely it is. I mean, there's not many people around that are doing something like this as well. So, and another reason why I love what I do, because I'm able to offer what I personally love as well, and my background in radio, and able to teach other people and give other people an opportunity in that space is amazing.
Cindy, it's a wonderful service you provide to the community. Congratulations on doing it. People can find you, of course, at umbrellasupport.com.au, and really appreciate you coming in and giving us a bit of insight today into the world of looking after some very, very special people.
Oh, thanks, Steve. It's been my pleasure. Thanks so much.
And with that, we've come to the end of yet another edition of The Clear Signal, and what a fun one it's been this week. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have too. A big thanks to Kathleen Everingham for joining us this week. And again, you can find her website at healthyandfresh.com.au. And thanks also for Cindy Warren for dropping in and sharing her journey with us as well today. And of course, thanks to all of you for spending some time with us. I'm Steve Visscher. I'll be back with you again in a week's time. But until then, have a great week, folks.
Get in touch. Join the conversation. Find us online at clearsignal.com.au.